So again, thrilled to be here. I'm an epidemiologist by training, and I think it's the first time I'm in a meeting where I probably do not need to explain to anybody what an epidemiologist does. We're going to talk about the pandemic. But with that, I'm going to just quickly introduce our speakers, and as you can tell, we've had a little shift in the program, and that's what we do. It's the pandemic. We have to pivot, and we come up with a new plan. So first, I want to introduce May Chen. She represents the Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Georgia Properties. I'm sure they're a well-known entity here. They're the leading realty agency here in Georgia. And again, Dan Forsman sent his regret he couldn't be here. But he obviously is one of the real estate champions in the Metro Atlanta and nationally recognized as one of the highest producing top-rated companies in the industry. And you can just imagine, and I'm sure we're going to hear more from May in just a second, how the pandemic has impacted the housing market. We still see the ripple effect from that. So of course, we'll hear more about that. Similarly, Mr. Wilson could not be here, but we have Nagendra Roy, who's the CEO of ANSIA Core here with us today. And I'm sure you stopped by their booth too. They just have phenomenal marketing materials. But he is the CEO for a management consulting and executive coaching IT business organization. And I read on LinkedIn this morning sort of the mission statement, there might be multiple ways to say this, but they specialize in transforming organizations of all sizes across the globe into high-performing powerhouses of extraordinary outlook and a highly skilled workforce. So again, he, his vision, leads this organization across multiple continents and really impacts the global business organizations, both nonprofit and for-profit. So welcome. And then we have Marcy Sperry, who I think really signifies women empowerment. She's the founder of Vivid IP, Intellectual Properties. She is a she lead brand champion of Vivid IP, of course. She has 15 years plus of expertise as a practicing trademark and IP attorney. She represents premier firms like King & Spalding, Womble Bond Dixon, and serves clients with various needs across biopharmaceutical, entertainment, hotel and hospitality, and technology industry. So we're thrilled to have you here with us. And you just heard some introductory remarks from Fidya Corso, and May introduced her as a powerhouse at KSU. And I have to agree, she is a distinguished researcher in her own right, but I introduce her here as the Vice President for Research. And I don't think we speak often enough about how transformative the research is at KSU and the transformative impact it has in communities and community development and economic development. Economic development is also something that she oversees in her role. And during her few years at KSU, she has really transformed the way we look at research, the way we do research, and the impact of our research. And she's using this term, research with relevance. And that's really key here. So can we clap and say thank you to our panelists? What we're going to do next, I'm just going to ask everybody to do a quick introductory, a few comments about themselves and their work, and of course reflect on the communication and the pandemic and how they may have pivoted, and then I'm going to start asking some questions. So
this is for about 6-7 years, definitely it's in the commercial business and some residential as well. So I'll try to speak from the my personal experience instead of reading the script. Okay, so thank you.
Myself, Nagendra Roy. I am the founder and CEO of ANSIA Core. Long timer with SAUPO from last 5 years. Enjoying every event that I was missing this from last 2 years because of the pandemic. But I feel it is very exciting. It's the first conference after pandemic I'm going in person. So really excited about it. We are a global organization. We provide transformation and business IT services. So all small, medium, non-profit, profit, all sort of organization. We are across the globe, having operations in Canada, US, India, this year we will be in Australia, Sydney. I was talking to Monica so a little while ago about that. But yeah, thank you so much, and probably we'll be able to deliver what you are expecting. Thank you.
Pandemic. I really can't speak to the academic side of the house, but certainly for today's panel, I'll be happy to share with you some changes that we had to make on the research side, and in particular with about a staff of about 40 to 50 people that report to me that keep the research infrastructure going. I can talk about some of the challenges and opportunities that we faced. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Marcia Sperry, and I'm the founder of Vivid IP, which is a law firm located in the Buckhead area of Atlanta. We focus on protecting our clients' intellectual property rights, which include trademarks, copyrights, patents, and we also have developed an entertainment practice to capitalize on the booming film and music industry right here in Atlanta, which is very exciting. I'm passionate about protecting my clients' creative enterprises through registering and enforcing our intellectual property. And finally, I'm very proud that we are an all-women-led law firm really supporting diversity in our area. So looking forward to what the panel has to say and engaging with you. That's the panel soon. Thank you.
So to start us off, I have a question for you. Again, thinking about opportunities. At the beginning of the pandemic, businesses and organizations like yours had to shift and adapt to the changing environment. What changes, if any, were beneficial to your organization? Do you see any of these changes being implemented in your business post-pandemic? Any recommendations to make? You all represent very different industries and different marketplaces, and obviously in terms of the staffing and where you serve. I would love to hear about that.
The first time our company started heard the news about the COVID was back in 2 years ago when the company had the nationwide coverage in national. So we have thousands of people in the event, and he got the news. And then when he back home to the office, we also heard the agent share the news that one of our agents' clients got the COVID. That was the first victim of the Atlanta of COVID. And so after that, Mr. Boosman remembered immediately strategy planning for our office. He shut down the 26th office. We have 1,600 agents. 1,600 agents in Georgia, and 26 office we shut down immediately. And at the same time, he started to managing the office with online Zoom meeting, and gradually we also adapt not only the managing meeting but also the training classes. We offer a lot of the legal and the attorney, tax professional to train our agents how to co-op with the pandemic and how to protect not only agents ourselves to be safe, but also the safety of our clients. We have lots of online training, and also on the regular weekly meeting, we become to the Zoom meeting, and we survive the business. And not only that, our business actually is growing. We have 4.4 billion in 2020, but in 2021 we grow the business to the 5.2 billion. Not only the company wise, my personal, the business is growing. Yes. Okay, so the most important thing is the number. Did you hear me? We grow from 4.4 billion to 5.2 billion. We are the number one in real estate in Georgia. And so we survived the pandemic, and I can see a lot of our business survive as well.
Congratulations on that success. I was going to clap, but then I didn't interrupt you. But that is, thank you for sharing that with us. And I think what you're talking about is that quick pivot, how to train the agents and how to really adapt to the new environment, how to blossom with it. All right, Rebecca, what would you like to share with us?
So this is like, it's not about the growth, but invented. When we started 2019, right before pandemic, we had different plans and strategy in place to go all over the world and provide our services. But I think what? In a few months, we faced this pandemic. Everything was like 180 degree. We have to take different direction on all our operations as well as what services we are offering. So I would say, if we did not have that kind of agility from business perspective, and if we are not communicating to the world the way it's supposed to be, we could not have it survive. But we found the opportunity, and I'm very, very thankful to Dr. May. We are connected from last 5-6 years and talking about communication. Communication is not just what I'm seeing and what you're listening. Communications are so many different ways we are doing. How others are perceiving, how others are seeing us. That is how we change. In 3 years, we revamped our website 6 times. Just to keep up with the business agility. Every 6 months, there are some trends, there are some patterns across the globe. Working with an organization, global organization, and having started this kind of a situation was very challenging to us. But I'm thankful to all our core team members. They are from all different parts of the world, and I would say I will talk a little bit more about that when we have another conversation or some more questions coming to us. But as our opening panelists, Dr. Corso, Dr. Iran, Dr. Mega, Katie, everyone, they talked about some nuggets in their opening remarks. We'll talk about it, and we are going to have a little bit more discussion, detailed discussions about it, and we'll be able to happy to give all those questions what you may have for us. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. So in 2020, which I don't know about you, feels like about a decade ago, but also yesterday. So in 2020, we had to, I don't want to say completely shut down our research operations, but we had to put policies and procedures in place to, number one, protect our students and our faculty, make sure that all the USG and state of Georgia policies around masking and distancing were put in place in our lab settings. And so that was a pretty rigorous process. Our president created a COVID task force that met weekly. We had different teams as part of this task force, one that specifically focused on the academic side of the house. My team focused on research. We have a team that focused on facilities. So you can imagine this was all hands on deck to have safety be number one. I was extremely proud to see that our faculty pivoted as much as they possibly could in doing research. So for those faculty who do research with human subjects and they could no longer have human subjects come into the lab, they stopped doing that type of research or changed their modality from in-person to Teams or phone calls. Faculty that were in labs had rotating schedules for students to come in so that they wouldn't have to be exposed to each other. And so since 2020, we really haven't seen a decline in our research productivity. We've seen an increase. And that is because our faculty figured it out and figured out how to pivot with their students. A lot of faculty spent time writing those papers and books that they've had on the back burner for a long time, and suddenly they're not in the classroom every day, so they had some time to devote to those papers. We saw our research and development expenditures go down, again, just because we couldn't be in the lab as much as we wanted to be. But we saw our grant proposals to external funders go up, because again, our faculty had to pivot, and they were working and looking for ways to keep productive. So I think overall, we fared very well, and we have many changes in practices because of the pandemic, which maybe we'll talk about in the next set of questions. Thank you.
No, and thank you, Pedro, for all your work. I know that you're giving the credit to the faculty, and of course it's their work, but I think without your leadership, I don't think that would even have been possible. So thank you for that.
Yes, before I can discuss the impact of the pandemic on IP, which has had a significant impact, I want to give you a very short crash course on what IP is and the three different types. IP stands for intellectual property, and first I want to talk about trademarks, which are near and dear to my heart. Trademarks or brands are words, logos, taglines that signify the quality of your products and services and distinguish your company from your competitors. So SAUPO is a trademark. So is Coca-Cola. My favorite tagline is Nike's "Just Do It," the Golden Arches. Even senses can serve as trademarks. MGM's Lion's Roar. The scent of Play-Doh has been registered as a trademark, if you can believe it. So packaging designs. Next, we have patents, which protect novel and useful inventions and grants the owner a monopoly to use those inventions in exchange for the public disclosure of what the invention is to the public. And finally, we have copyrights. And copyrights protect original works of authorship. So, for example, copyrights protect films, music, paintings, books. Now that we know what IP is, I did want to talk about how has the pandemic impacted IP. Surprisingly, we have seen an explosive growth in intellectual property filings and innovation. It's been remarkable to watch as companies have shifted to embrace this new virtual world that we are living in. In particular, I can't tell you how many new clients are offering SaaS, software as a service, to provide applications online to consumers, usually on a subscription basis, or software applications. Regardless of the type of business that I represent, inevitably, most of these companies are also filing trademark applications and patent applications to protect that new software. And as a result of this innovation, trademark offices throughout the world have reported increases and almost to the point of backlogs in connection with SaaS and software applications. In the US, we have noticed such a backlog that we typically tell our clients to expect 3 months for an application to be assigned to a trademark examiner to review the application for compliance with the trademark office rules. Now we have to advise them to wait 9 months because they are so backlogged, which is positive and negative. It does mean that digital and software companies are doing very well, but sometimes the government is having trouble keeping up with it. I did want to share one quote that I found very poignant from Darren Tang, the Director General of WIPO, which is the World Intellectual Property Office. He said, despite the difficult situation, enterprises are finding opportunities to reach customers in new ways, open up new markets, and bring their ideas to the world using IP.
Wow, thank you. I didn't expect to hear so much of the business thriving in that way. And you know, having your remarks just at the papers about a surge in productivity in publications and research, it's really amazing. And so I'm wondering, I'm going to ask you one more question, I think for the whole panel to weigh in on, but then we're going to open it up to the audience. Of course, I have many more questions, but we would love to hear from you too. So in that context of you know, business really thriving in some ways, and you all talked about pivoting in different ways. Let me ask if how you pivoted or what the pandemic did to your business or in terms of service or the academy. Has this pivot in some ways created lasting changes that you will maintain post-pandemic? You know, again, here in Atlanta, we're very lucky that We are in essence coming out of the pandemic, but of course, that's not true all over the world. We've been in different phases of this. So my question for you, again, thinking opportunities, as many of you are talking about your business enterprises or productivity really thriving. Are there any sort of best practices or opportunities you will maintain with you into the future?
The IT, the meeting has been changing the way we do the business a lot. It helps us to reach more broadly unlimited places and countries that we are able to reach that we didn't have that in mind. And also because the growing of the real estate business, we notice people migrate as well. They migrate from other states, other countries to Georgia. Every year we have about 300,000 people moving in to Georgia. In the last 10 years at least, 300,000 people are moving. And a lot of people, when they are buying the real estate business, they are not be here in person because the limitation of the airline travel or other reason, they cannot be here. So we do a lot of video showing and do a lot of Zoom meeting with the clients overseas or out of state. And I believe all this technology, the IT, helps us to reach out more of our real estate clients globally. Yeah. So I think this part we will continue, and also the training to the agents. Some agents, they still have the limitation. Maybe they are some family issues or some other reason. They are not able to present the weekly meeting in the office. So our company still offer that training and opportunity like this, not only in person, but also on the Zoom meeting as well. So all of our management team and our agents, 1,600 agents, we are still on the train of to be trained professionally. Yeah, in both in person and on the Zoom.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing. That's really powerful to hear about training a new business solution and of course the technology behind the scenes to allow you to pivot like this. Really fascinating. And then of course we're going to talk more about IT business solutions. How did you pivot? What can we learn?
Sure. So if you see from a bigger picture perspective around the world, the fundamentals are still same. Everybody wants to do business with due respect, but doing it differently is a challenge, and adopting those, embracing those changes is very, very important. Technology, information technology, electronics, Internet of Things, robotics, all those things got promoted in this pandemic, and everybody wants you to leverage that technology to do their own business and promote them and survive. If you think about education industry, about healthcare, if you think about those retail businesses, how they have survived. For IT, it was a blessing. I'm sorry to say that we lost so many people in this pandemic, but for IT, it was kind of a blessing because we innovated ourselves to do business differently, save so much money, and provided so much benefit to the customers. So it's about thinking out of the box and finding ways how best you can communicate to your customers or to your clients. Again, I will say communication was the only key for us to come out from this difficult situation. And that communication only happened when you have a credibility of doing things differently. That is how I can say in a nutshell. Dr. Corso will tell you about a little bit more from the academic and education perspective, but over to you, Dr. Corso.
Thank you. So my staffing model is forever changed. I have let's say 40 people or so who deal with the management of contracts and grants that come into KSU. It's very transactional. And my team successfully continued their jobs, working from home. And now we're post-pandemic, and my staff does not want to come back to the office. Anybody else experiencing this besides me? And so I'm okay with that, right? To me, can you get your job done? And I don't really mind wherever you are doing your job, as long as you're successful in getting your job done. And so in the world of sponsored program staff, which is very, turnover is extremely high. I call my staff unicorns because they have a skill set that is highly desirable and highly sought after. I cannot pay them as much as I think they should be valued, because I'm constrained by the University System of Georgia salaries. And so I have to do everything I can to make them happy and to stay with us. And that has to do with teleworking. And so we have a teleworking arrangement with every single one of our staff. We have rotating teams that come into the office. We have some rules that we've had to put in place to make this successful. Like if you're a teleworker, you have to share your office that's on KSU campus so that we can make good use of our space. You have to be available for Teams calls within a 1 hour notice, unless you're on your lunch break. You have to have your video on when we're on calls. You have to be responsive to faculty and staff when they need your assistance. And we kind of have a 3 strikes you're out policy. It's not, it's a privilege to be able to telework, not a guarantee. And we hold our staff to very, very high standards, and they're meeting those standards. And I think they're happy. And I think this is the model, particularly with millennials. I think millennials just don't want to do what my generation did, which is go into the office from 8 to 5. I think we have a whole new group of people coming up, and we need to adapt, and hopefully KSU will be there at the forefront.
No, thank you for sharing all of that about the changing business practice and how we operate them. Several people raised their hands. They've had the same issues, so this translates across. First, what are you going to share with us?
Sure, I wanted to share 2 things. One is how our firm has adapted to the coronavirus, and when it was particularly strong about a year and a half ago, I made a decision to submit an anonymous survey to my team to find out, did they want to continue to come in the office 5 days a week? Did they want a hybrid work environment? Because we have a co-working space. I elected to have my own office because I do like to come in personally, where they could come in 2 or 3 days a week and have a shared space. Or did they want to work exclusively virtually? And it was interesting, most of them wanted to work virtually. And I was a little bit nervous about this, but interestingly enough, their billable hours, which is how we make business as attorneys, every 6 minutes we're billing, they went up. They were very, very productive, and I was pleased with it. So we now have a hybrid work environment. I have a application called Slack, you may have heard of, which is an instant messaging feature where it's almost analogous to the old knocking on the door and asking a quick question. And it is helpful because my email box is outrageous, so I encourage everybody, if you want to talk to me, send me a Slack unless it's client related. So we do use SaaS, software as a service applications like Slack to communicate. And so that's how we have pivoted, and I have found it to be very beneficial. In fact, most of my clients prefer to meet over Zoom. I could not live without Zoom. In fact, before the pandemic, I had never used Zoom before. And now it is what we use primarily. In fact, we have developed a really neat virtual background with our branding. Since we are trademark attorneys, we need to walk the walk and have our own cool brand, which is Vivid IP. And so that's been another cool way to reinforce our brand. In terms of how it's affected clients, we have offered seminars to our client base to talk about other areas that they should focus on to protect their IP, specifically in the SaaS movers. And many of our clients in the entertainment space are also seeking to protect their IP in the new metaverse with NFTs and blockchain. So that's also something new on the horizon that we are learning and helping our clients enter that field. In addition, we have a lot of film studios that represent, and they did a remarkable job when the pandemic first hit with having measures to reduce contact, only having the key players during the filming. And they also rely on SaaS software for their streaming services because, as you know, people are not going to the movie theater as much as they used to. And so there's been an explosion in creative content I have found as a result, which is really interesting and exciting for Atlanta in particular.
So Marcy, I don't know, well, thank you for all that, but something you said sparked me again that I wanted to comment on something.
Actually, I wanted to add what Marcy was saying about that. Is we changed our approach and we did a little bit innovatively. I wanted to share that what best thing what we did in this pandemic was we did not define the job description for our employees or what we are looking for. We did it other way around. We found people from all over the world, doesn't matter from which country they belong to. We crafted their duties and job responsibility based on their skill and interest. And when Dr. Corso was talking about the millennials, right? They don't want to do those things for the way things we were doing, we are doing. We have to shift. So for that reason, we came up with a little innovative idea. I just wanted to share. It's a secret, but you can take it. We crafted the rules and responsibility based on the person who wants to engage with us and do business and do some services. So we did it other way around. So it's a nugget. You can take it with you, and I'm open for all questions.
Wow, thank you. Were you planning for some major, I mean, in essence, a catastrophe like this? Can you plan for it? Do you have any reflections on that? Great question, but a tough one. Again, I'm not sure we want to speak to it publicly.
I don't necessarily know that we planned for or we could have planned for, but I think pivoting quickly and figuring out ways to be innovative to capture that client base is how we were successful. Another way to plan for anything similar in the future is to have a diverse portfolio of clients. I always recommend to my team that we should have clients in numerous sectors because you don't know which sector is going to be impacted the most. So it would be catastrophic if I only had clients in the sector that was mostly hit by the supply chain issues. So we were very fortunate that we did have a diverse array of clients in various technology industries that we could really focus on to help us as we were originally hit by the pandemic, because it did take us a couple of months to readjust and recalibrate.
What Dusty mentioned, having a diversified portfolio, we cannot plan for any of this basically. Only thing is we should have a response plan. We cannot plan for this. We should have a response plan to see or to meet all these challenges. And there are challenges, and within challenges you will find the opportunity. That's how we did it. So how what we could have done better, it's a matter of that particular time. But having that flexibility, having that agility, loosely coupled different line of business within organization will help not only just organization as well as those employees, because retaining and sustainment is very important. It's not like, okay, pandemic is over almost, right? We can say. But how about after post, like Dr. May was saying about BS and AS, right? So after pandemic, what would be our business model? That is also very important because we want to continue with the same passion. Dr. Corso mentioned about the standards and the quality what we have tried bringing up in this pandemic situation by doing business differently. We have to keep up with that. Millennials are going to play a very critical role in this, very critical. Because when I'm talking to my son, the way he give me the answer, if I give this answer to my father, So what I'm saying is, having that flexibility in your mindset, everything sitting in the 6 inches here. Whether it's a robotics or it's a NASA space or you know Elon Musk getting space, this, that, and all, everything's sitting here. So having that open-mindedness will help in this kind of situation. Answer to your question.
Right.
I have a question here, sorry. I'm Bill Strang from Toto, and one thing I wanted to ask about was, as you did that pivot from the COVID impact back in March of 2020, during that pivot, and as you've gone through the past 24 months, how have you maintained the culture of your business in a very widely spread, now not coming together and cohabitating in an office? How do you maintain the culture of your business or your organization to help that new entry, new hires, as well as the veterans of the business continue to have an understanding of who you are as an organization or a company? Make sense?
Absolutely makes sense, because the company, what is company? What is SAUPO? It's a culture. If we can keep up with the culture, we are doing good. If you mess up with your values and the value system, you are going to be out of business very soon. So it's about culture, what you carry within organization and how others are seeing you from outside, inside out, or outside in, both ways. So that is, I hope I try my best to answer your question.
Yeah, I think your question is the most important one, because I know from the student perspective, we had to think about these poor students who started as freshmen during the pandemic. How do we get them to love KSU if they never came to our campus? And it's not just the students. We had 100 faculty start in the fall of 2020. Also did not get to meet their colleagues for a year. And so there are a couple of things that we did out of our office and across the university is we started holding virtual celebrations. So we have something that we call Research with Relevance. Dr. Swan mentioned it. And it was a program that we ran every Friday. We're still running it. Now that I think about it, I think we're doing it next Friday. So we run this program every Friday where I get a faculty member on a Teams call and we open it up to the entire university to hear from our amazing colleagues in a very informal one-on-one way. Research with Relevance. We had the cabinet attending, we had deans attending, and the way that we started the show was to say, we're doing this because we want to get to know each other as colleagues, and we want to keep that collegiality. And we've continued it. We're still doing it. Now, I will tell you the problem that I'm facing is people are dropping off. I don't have the attendance now that I did in the fall of 2020. And so now we're gonna have to pivot again. We're just like do something else, and we're having some brainstorming sessions over the summer to think through what to do for fall of 2022, which is a whole new challenge. Yeah.
It's about that recipe. Let's say example, if you are making some dish at your home or Thanksgiving, let's say example, if you don't know the recipe, you might think, okay, it's going to be nice and very delicious and everything. You might not have that taste. So what I'm saying is, for everything there is a recipe, and then you have to come up with new recipe all the time when you see this type of challenges.
Market, I have seen the huge change for the last 2 years. For the commercial wise, we start to notice because the shortage supply from the overseas, they have been increasing the demand in the warehousing, in the commercial wise. We see lots of shortage in the warehouse because a lot of internet sales going instead of the retail business. So, people stay at home, work from home, and they shopping online. So it created lots of opportunity for internet business. They start growing and they need to start to have more supply and stocking in the warehouse. So the warehouse demand has been increasing dramatically. And also the housing, the residential housing, as many people start to work from home, a lot of people, they want to demand for bigger house. The husband want to have his office in the house, and the wife want to have his office in the house. So we notice the luxury property, the bigger house demand is increased as well. And the pricing, you are in the market to buy any real estate now, you probably feel the pain. The price is almost double 2 years ago. Recently I had a house listed for $780,000. $780,000 listed, and 2 days I got 20 offers, and the ending price is more than 6 digits more. It's $900,000. And the buyer, he bought a house in 2017. He only paid for $515,000. So from 2017, he paid for $515,000, and last month he sold for $900,000. This is the market at the buyer we don't want to see, and we feel so sorry for our younger generation. They probably have difficult to buy their first home. But as previous question, our company, Berkshire Hathaway Home Service, we have the culture to unite the family together, and we like to help our clients to meet their goal. The client's goal is our mission. So we are in a place to help the buyer and the seller to meet their, the goal. Yeah, and also the office, talking about the commercial, the office, we dramatically see the dropping in the last 2 years, but about early this year, we started to notice the office space demand coming back. And also I noticed the nationwide in the city, with the IT companies bringing in with the job opportunity, that city will stay strong in the market. Because a lot of people ask me, is the real estate bubble coming? Is the real estate will be crashed very soon? But if you start the data, you will notice any big city within the United States has the IT company job opportunity. That city will stay strong and economic crisis resistant. So, for example, from the West Coast, the city is strong, and then the Tesla moved to the Texas, Austin. So the Austin real estate market start to boom, and then follow the Austin, people, they are investor and the job opportunity, IT job opportunity coming to the Atlanta. So they bring in the opportunity to the Atlanta real estate market as well. So all this demand increase caused the Atlanta become to one of the 10, highest price increase in the real estate market. I don't know if I answer your questions.
No, you did. I would like to add one thing in that is, responsive to the market trend is one of the, kind of a must in your business. But at the same time, creating and leading the trend, that is where you are distinguishing yourself from others, from your competitors. If you think 5 years back, you must have. Do you know Uber? How many people use Uber? Right? 5 years back, Did you? Maybe not, right? Or 1 or 10 years, okay, I will go back with it, fine. No, right? So they don't own a single car or single vehicle. That is where we have to think innovatively. And it's not just innovative, it's about, maintaining and keep up with that excellence. So what May was talking about, like how the real estate market is, going straight down, up, this, that, and how Tesla came in and, doing the business differently. So it's about, thinking different and, keeping up with that innovation all the time. Doesn't matter, pandemic is over, but we have to still keep thinking. It's not like, okay, we have to stop thinking.
No, thank you for that. There's just so many more than nuggets, words of wisdom, I think, that our panelists have shared with us. And I think, it's hard to summarize a 1-hour conversation, but clearly your leadership, thinking strategically, pivoting, working with your staff, accommodating new solutions. Again, whether it's selling homes virtually, or whether it's supporting faculty productivity, or whether it's supporting a surge in content creating that needs to be trademarked, or supporting new business solutions. We've learned a lot from you as you've shared your comments, and really appreciate, your insight and experience, and of course, your support of SAUPO. So can we get a round of applause for our panelists?